Barriers to circularity. According to a 2017 study that examined the barriers to the circular economy in the European Union, pressing circumstances against it were set in 4 different areas: cultural, market, regulatory, technological. In this table we can see the classification of these 4 types of barriers, with a breakdown of each area, and showing which are the most or least critical ones. The cultural barriers are the biggest impediments towards the implementation of circular economy within the textiles industry. There is little awareness and willingness of commitment. This is true for both corporate culture and consumer habits. Furthermore, the traditional linear operating system does not match the requirements of a circular supply chain. Circular economy requires interest and knowledge from both businesses and consumers, and a strong collaboration in the value chain. Following the cultural barriers, the next most problematic field is the market. The main problem in this area is that making recycled products requires a big upfront and research and development investments. Also, virgin materials are much cheaper and often have higher quality than recycled ones. Other problems are the limited funding for circular business models and the standardization. Because of this, business models based on the circular economy have a low viability. The regulatory barriers mainly refer to the lack of regulation and legislation around the transition from a linear to a circular economy, and are intermediate pressing ones. The implementation of a circular economy would require a lot of legislative definitions to allow it to develop and ensure that it is consistent with the current legislation. Other problems are the limited circular procurement, and the need for consensus between different countries, as we live in a global economy. Nowadays, recycling technologies or other technologies that might help the circular economy are underdeveloped. The products must be designed to be circular, but there are few large-scale projects today that encourage other companies to join this model. In addition, it's still difficult to make high-quality recycled products. Despite aiming for upcycling, we might find that recycled products are closer to the definition of downcycling. Other than this, there is a lack of data, for example on impacts. However, despite the diverse barriers we just learnt of, some advances are being made towards the circular economy, especially at the regulatory level. Some African countries have warned that they will not accept more second-hand clothes from Europe, because they consider it does not allow the development of local industry. As a result, countries such as Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan and Burundi have managed to prevent the import of used European clothing, by raising taxes so much that it has become a de facto ban. On the other hand, following the path of the circular economy, EU member states will have to implement a municipal collection of textile waste by 2025. Textile waste is considered to be special and, therefore, cannot be placed in general bins. This obligation is part of the European Commission's Circular Economy Package, which aims to reduce textiles waste incineration and improve the rates of reused and recycled clothes. One of the goals for 2030 is for EU member states to ban the dumping or incineration of waste that can be recycled or reused, including textile waste. With these changes in regulation, the volume of post-consumer textile waste in Europe will increase enormously. Therefore, the market, culture and technology will have to get involved and push for a change towards circularity.